My wife said she was pulling in the garage, and all of a sudden just kind of honking, windshield wipers going, everything was going crazy, and then she couldn't even get it into park. Finally, just after a couple tries, because it's just a turn knob. Finally went into park, but she couldn't turn the car off. But finally, then nothing. Now nothing comes on. I charged the battery, but nothing. I went and bought a new battery, replaced that, nothing. Went and bought a voltage meter, tested the battery a couple days later, and it just showed like 5 volts. So I'm like, oh, maybe they sold me a bad battery. So I went and exchanged it, got a new one, tested the battery. It was giving me 12.5 or 6. Put it in, nothing. Like nothing comes on. Can't press the brakes, no lights, nothing. Well, now it's been a couple of days, and I tested the battery voltage, and it's down to 3 something. Something's draining the power, but nothing's on the car.
So yeah, it sounds to me like you have a battery draw or a drain on the battery. There is a procedure that technicians can do to determine what's causing the draw and what circuit the draw is on. Now, if you would like, I'm happy to send that test over to you. Basically, what it entails is you hook up a test light or a voltmeter, between positive battery post and the positive cable, or the negative cable and the negative post. And what you do is you measure the current draw, and then you pull one fuse at a time until the current draw stops. And when that happens, then that's that particular circuit. That's where the draw is on. And then what we do is we pull a diagram for everything. We look at everything on that circuit. We unplug everything one at a time to see which component on that circuit is causing the drain. Causing the battery draw. So you can do this test, or if you don't want to mess with it, you're going to have to hire a mechanic, so a mechanic can do this for you.
Right. Question though, like even right after replacing, well, now it's been 2 new batteries, but it's still, after replacing it, I get in and nothing, like the brake won't compress, but even when you push the start button, nothing goes on.
Okay, and you said the battery voltage is low now?
Now it's so after the second battery, even when I put it in, I tested it, it was showing 12 point something.
Okay.
Now, and still nothing comes on, nothing, and that's when it was at 12. That was brand new.
Okay.
That's been twice now. Nothing in the car comes on, can't start it, nothing chimes, nothing. So then once it sat for 2 days, now it's down to 3 point something volts. So even though nothing's coming on, something's still draining the battery.
Right. So what you're going to have to do is either charge the battery or get a different battery, and then run that battery draw test.
Okay. But even once I find what's drawing the power, that don't necessarily say what's the problem, right? Why it wasn't starting even with the brand new battery?
Well, once you install a brand new battery in there and it's got plenty of voltage, it should start and run. But if it doesn't, then no, that is correct. Then you got something else going on. So, and at that point, you'd have to dig a little further to see what's going on. But if you haven't checked the fuses, that would be a good thing to do. And then checking for codes in the computer using a compatible scan tool, that would also be a good idea. Well, right. If you only have 3 volts right now, you got to get that battery charged back up.
Yeah, but even with the brand new battery and stuff, like I said, when I pushed the start button, it wouldn't even, no lights on that would even come on or even go to.
Okay, and we have not checked the fuses. Is that correct?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't even have any other discussion until we've confirmed that these fuses are good, because where this is going is either a bad fuse box or a bad computer. And if I tell you that at this point, and you find out it's just a bad fuse, you're gonna call me back and you're gonna say it was just a bad fuse, and I'm really upset. I can't believe you didn't tell me it was the fuses. I've been down this road a lot. So check the fuses first, and if the fuses are good, then at that point we can have that conversation. And yeah, we might have a bad computer. We could have a bad fuse box. We could have a bad connection, a bad engine, or a frame ground. All that's possible. Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a particular fuses that
you need to check all of them?
if
I mean, I do see here in the diagram, I see you got a fuse number 1. There's a 500 amp fuse, but that only protects the starter and the alternator. Fuse number 5 is a 60 amp fuse, and that powers up everything. You have a battery fuse terminal. I bet you know what? You need to start there. Battery fuse terminal near battery. So it's either attached to or right at or right really close to the battery. And you got some main or some maxi fuses. Fuse 1 is a 500 amp. Fuse 5 is a 60 amp. Fuse 4 is either a 80 or a 50. Fuse number 3 is a 70. And fuse number 2 is 150 amp. So, and then power goes from there over to your regular power distribution center, which is still under the hood. Number 2 and possibly number 4. It's 150 amp fuse on fuse number 2. Power up your fuse box on the left side of the engine compartment. So I would check 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the battery terminal right at the battery.
Yeah, it's connected. There's a red box that you actually pull to the.
Yeah, there you go.
Positive.
Yep.
So take that off and check those fuses first.
Yeah, I would absolutely. Okay. Yeah, well, you're gonna have to charge the battery. I mean, you could charge the battery while you check the fuses. You could do that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. You bet. You're welcome. Good luck. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Bye-bye.